Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Neonmind Biosciences channel. We're sitting here with Rob, who has some exciting updates on the psilocybin drug development research plan and team. Rob, how are you doing? Are you ready to jump in today?
Yeah, hey Michael, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. And yes, just recently we put out a press release to announce some of the progress we've made, and so I'm excited to be on the call here today with you to describe some of that progress for the viewers.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's jump into it then. Let's start out with you guys have now two synthetic psilocybin drug candidates. Can you tell us some more about what these candidates are and what the next steps are with those?
Yeah, sure. So as I think all of our viewers know, we're focused on psychedelic drug development and conducting the clinical research that's required to demonstrate and evaluate these substances to be safe and effective in certain patient populations for certain indications. And so our first two programs are really based on synthetic psilocybin. And one of our programs is looking at a higher dose psilocybin, a dose that would be high enough for a patient to have an hallucinogenic experience. And in those settings where they have an hallucinogenic experience, it enhances the psychotherapy that goes along with treatment. And so one of our programs will look to evaluate that and that type of a modality. And our other program proposes a lower dose psilocybin, where the lower dose wouldn't have a hallucinogenic experience, but would instead be high enough to address the receptors that have an effect on appetite suppression, thereby reducing, food intake, caloric intake, and potentially reducing an obese patient's weight.
Interesting. So let's go to the first one first, the high dose. I imagine this is something that would then be given in like some sort of clinical setting where the patient is kind of babysat for a while as you kind of go through the psychoactive side of things. And
Yeah.
the second one then, as you said, it sounds like more of a smaller, like a micro dose. There's no sort of hallucinogenic effects to it. With that, what would be the plan for that? Would that be, are you thinking like getting into like here's a pill, you take this with the
Yeah.
psilocybin in it?
Right. So I think when you look at the psychedelic space right now and the variety of programs that are out there, much of the work that's being conducted by companies, companies like us, is based on this growing body of evidence that shows that psychedelic substances, can potentially have long-term impact, on the behaviors of patients. And so that can come in a couple of different formats. And in the higher dose setting, it would absolutely be delivered in a clinical setting where there's a psychologic professional providing the dose, monitoring the experience, and then guiding the psychotherapy to try to elicit some behavioral changes that are relevant for the indication that the patient has, whether it's an obese patient who's trying to go through behavior modification, or potentially not for our programs, but potentially for other psychiatric indications, where there's a depressed patient or somebody who's got post-traumatic stress disorder. The lower dose, you're right. I mean, it would be more along the sort of lines of the current pharmacotherapy. So, a pill format potentially, sort of dispensed at the pharmacy, prescribed by the physician, dispensed at the pharmacy, and then taken on maybe on a once daily basis, depending on the way the research pans out. But yeah, the higher dose delivered in a clinical setting, the lower dose prescribed by a physician, and then taken by the patient.
Wonderful. And yeah, so it sounds like you got two very strong paths that you guys are talking about working through there. And you guys have this kind of plan set in three core objectives for
Yeah.
2021, right? You got plan, resource, and execute. Can you kind of dive into these just a
Sure.
little bit?
Yeah, and this very simple plan for our company really comes together because of the type of company we're at, the stage of development we're at, and the sort of opportunities that we're evaluating. We're a startup organization. We did our IPO back in January of this year, and as such, our programs are very early stage. So we're in the preclinical setting. We're in the animal models, and really, what companies should be doing who are in this space is devising and disclosing their plan to go from where they're at right through to an application with a health regulator like the FDA. A plan to a new drug application is something that can give some validity to the fact that to the programs that you're studying, and can really carve out a map and demonstrate, carve out a map or define a map for the capital that's required
Mhm.
and the different experiments that are going to be required to be able to demonstrate safety and efficacy to a health regulator. As far as resourcing, a company, you need to have scientists within your organization. You need to have those capabilities that understand how to design development programs, how to execute clinical trials, how to assemble the variety of data sets that are required. And so we need to attract and assemble that talent. And part of the resources that go along with a company being successful is obviously capital. These are capital intensive initiatives. A single early study, can run, into the tens of millions of dollars, and a full-fledged development plan can run to the tune of 50 to $100 million. So you need to be able to access capital, and it has to have a really clear roadmap in terms of when you need the money and what you're going to, be able to show, based on, the deployment of the capital that you're able to attract. And then, we just like to always call out the fact that, this is about execution, right? A lot of companies and, a lot of organizations can, talk about what they're going to do, but we want to be sure that we're executing and we're being held accountable or held to being able to really to execute and to show and demonstrate that we are advancing in creating value for our shareholders and creating value for within our organization. And once we have these plans, these comprehensive integrated drug development plans mapped out, it'll be really clear in terms of what we're going to chunk off next and the research initiatives that we're going to undertake.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, it sounds like you guys got a pretty good strategy for 2021 there, from planning, which obviously is one of the most important things. Resources, which in any field like this where you guys are doing a lot of research and such, yeah, there's going to be expenses, especially when you're on the bleeding edge with psychedelic research. And yeah, execution is paramount because, as
Yeah.
you said, a lot of companies do talk a big game, right? And being able to be held accountable, trying to place roadmaps in place, say, hey, we're aiming for this, and this, is a very important thing to actually build confidence in people looking at your company or your investors, right?
Yeah.
And another big portion here that I want to kind of dive into is your guys' research and development working group, right? You guys
Sure.
are adding more members on the team. You're adding PhDs, you're adding MDs, you're adding some big names here. Can you tell us why you're adding these people and what they're bringing to the table?
Yeah, and again, again, we go back to how we are uniquely positioned in the psychedelic space, where we're doing psychedelic drug development in the category for obesity. So we're looking for, to define new treatment modalities, disruptive treatment options for patients suffering with obesity. And for that, you need to have obesity expertise around the table. You need to have individuals who have treated obese patients for decades and understand that disease state and what's required there with those patients. But because we're dealing with psychedelic substances, you also need to have experts who have actually put a psychedelic on board in a clinical setting, observed its effects, monitored the patient, guided the patient. And so we went looking for individuals that had that experience. We were able to identify Dr. Albert Garcia Romo, who's actually a member of the psychiatry and behavioral sciences faculty at major university, John Hopkins University. And Dr. Garcia Romo has participated in and led clinical trials for psychedelic drug experiences. He's guided more than 90 sessions, and so we felt like his expertise, having deployed these substances, into patients, was going to be critical for us as we design our trials. We also need to have, drug development is complex. I mean, this is, $100 million development program with many moving parts. And so we needed to have expertise around the table from someone who has actually led and championed that within different organizations. And so Mr. Philippe Martin, joined our organization as an advisor for drug development. Philippe's got 20 years of experience in biotech and pharmaceutical industry. He's had a successful run at multiple companies, including, Celgene, the Celgene organization, as well as the BioAlta organization out in San Diego. And Philippe will be providing me counsel and guidance and assessing the plans and programs that we put together and helping us establish what we think are validated and credible plans, to get to the point where we have an application to put in front of the FDA. And then lastly, we also went looking for, for all of these roles, we went looking for people who have had, proven experience, and we were really, pleased to engage with an organization called Satara. They're a global leader in model-informed drug discovery and development, and they are providing us expertise. They have their own internal working group across the vast network of scientists that they have. They have their own working group that are helping us to define the various aspects of these integrated drug development plans. And with this team, I'm very confident, as the leader, as the CEO of this organization, that we're going to come forward with plans that make a heck of a lot of sense. They're going to run the clinical questions, the scientific questions to ground, and allow us to advance both these candidates forward. And obviously time will tell, and the science will bear out in terms of whether or not we can demonstrate safety and effectiveness. But I think we're going to have really robust plans that are informed by just tremendous expertise.
Yeah, about to say it's very important to have experts on whenever you're working with stuff like this, and you've brought on some all stars here by seeing some of the names and some of their backgrounds, as you had mentioned.
Sure.
So Rob, this is exciting. I'm happy to see you guys taking these steps, getting this framework laid out. Anything else you want to mention before we sign off today?
Yeah, no, it's exciting times. I've been here now I've been with the organization now for just around 2 months, and I continue to be pleased with the progress we're making. Some of this work, in research and development, it could be slow at times, but usually when things are slow and there's not a lot of announcements going on, it has to do with the fact that there's planning in progress, and there are steps being taken to advance, our clinical initiatives, and that's where we're at today, and it remains an exciting company for us to continue to try to build.
All right, Rob. Well, thank you for those last words. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to shoot them over to us. We'll be very happy to answer them, and like and subscribe so you can get the most recent updates that we can kick out to you. Rob, thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Michael. Bye, everyone.